Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. And welcome to the Studying of Terror and the Flickerverse of multiple horrors. And we have some lovely guests with us today. Hi, Mrs.
Hi,
Dovey. Hi,
everybody.
Solution.
Hi.
Hi. Is everyone having a scary evening or day?
Yes.
Yes.
I've asked to be at 2 field sites the same day on Friday, so it's very spooky how to figure that out.
I'm having a bit of a headache. I don't know where that might be coming from. It's very stabby.
I bet Melindra would
have been playing Maiden's Kiss.
Yeah. And I lost, obviously.
Happy Flickerween.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's nice. I like that.
Mm.
I like that one.
Who was
yes,
it? Was
Aginor does like Halloween, but unfortunately he is a bit busy with all his Halloween preparations and experiments and things like that. So unfortunately he has to pass today. But yeah, how's everyone been? It's been 2 weeks. How are we all doing? Camille, how are you doing?
Next.
So good.
No, I'm fine. I came back from a work trip to the US, so I'm still a bit out of it. I've been busy with work and a bunch of stuff, so I'm okay. So it's weird because I usually don't really do Halloween, so I'm trying to see what I'm gonna do here today. I'm glad that there's guests, so I may not have to talk much.
Yeah, just enjoy the spookiness. And Goatbrother, how you been? Except for the headaches and the.
I'm quite okay. Last 2 days have been rough. We've got a sick cat, and it seems it made it for a few another days. Knock on wood that he will make it, but he's 17. But otherwise, I'm doing fine.
Yeah, give him a lot of kitty cuddles.
Yeah, and he will give me some stabby steps because he doesn't like that much.
So, our dear guest, Solucia, how are you?
Hi.
You're looking particularly scary tonight.
Thank you. I tried my best after failing. I'm fine again because I looked forward to this evening. But other than that, the last few days, I'm still struggling with the time clock thing. What is it called actually in English?
Winter time adjustment.
Yeah. Because the kid thinks like, okay, I don't wake up at the same time, but just 1 hour earlier. But I wake up even earlier than that. And I'm like, can't wait to sleep. Yeah, so a little bit of lack of sleep, but other than that, yeah, I'm fine. Nice to be here.
Yay, happy to have you here. Dovey, what have you been up to? How are you doing?
Good. I went to a adult themed con this weekend, which was the first time I've been to like a not Wheel of Time con, which was very interesting because they were very different. And then I got the Halloween thing at the Cal Academy of Sciences this week, so just busy with work and hanging out. I went and saw Ina Garten on Monday. There was a lecture. She's a American TV chef, if you're not familiar with him. She's very wholesome and sweet, so it was cute.
Awesome. So, like, do you guys? I mean, Camille, you say you don't really celebrate Halloween, but how about the rest of you? I mean, American tradition or from the start? But
I don't get that many
How-
trick or treaters in my neighborhood, unfortunately. The first year we lived here, we like did a whole haunted courtyard, and then we got like 5 kids, so we don't really get that many. So I do get candy, but this will be the first year we're not at home on Halloween night, so we'll just put out a bowl of candy and hope that one kid doesn't steal it all.
They will definitely do that.
We have a lot of cameras at our house, so maybe they'll be scared.
You're just, I'm going to get my gun out and chase you around the yard. No, just kidding. Like here, it's like I remember when I was younger, like a kid. I remember going out like once in total. It wasn't really a thing, and my mom is like, I don't know anything of it. Like, I don't know what's going on. But now it's like it's getting more and more, I think. It's also like today there is a holiday, but I don't call it by the name of a holiday. I don't remember right now. Reformationstag, Reformation Day, whatever.
Reformation Day.
But it's for me, it's like today is Halloween. Like that's the day. Like also, is it like, do you say Halloween or Halloween? You say like Halloween. Yeah. Okay.
Halloween.
Yeah. Okay. So tomorrow we will go with our kids around the neighborhood, and it's like, yeah, most people have candies, and yeah, it's just normal. Like they're used to it every year, and yeah, it's just normal every year.
No, I can't remember. We didn't like do it when I was a kid either. It's getting bigger and bigger in Sweden. So like all the stores and everything are pushing really hard for it. And I mean, I love Halloween. I love the whole spooky season, horror movies, everything like that. So I'm really excited for Halloween, but it hasn't been a big thing until like the last maybe 10 years. It's gotten really bigger and bigger.
Yeah, same here. And I live in a small ass village. But we've got some very enthusiastic neighbors who really go all out by decorating their houses, and there are more and more kids going trick-or-treating. Weirdly, Mom is very into it. She's really Catholic, but I think it's because she can give candy to kids, and she likes being kind to kids. So I think that's the reason for it. When I was young, we had Saint Martin, the one with the cloak, which is in about 2 weeks. So that was bigger back then. Going on the parade with little lanterns and getting a bag of candy and a wagaman, which is from sweet fluffy bread that is baked into the shape of a person with a pipe. So
that's wacky.
I will look it up. Wait.
Amazing. So before we're doing a Halloween special today, obviously. So we got some. Oh, nice. Really cute.
I love them.
That's cute, I guess.
Yeah, it is. Cannibalism! Yay!
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, in the north of France, there's some type of bread we are doing for more around Christmas that we call Little Jesus. So technically also cannibalism because we're eating that, but that's even weirder. But yeah, I didn't do trick or treating when I was a kid, but like we did a few like Halloween party, but it's because technically like it's my little sister's birthday today, so like when she was young we would do party for that. But yeah, most of the time I forget that we're getting close to Halloween, and then I get like, I don't know, I don't even know whether in the UK people are doing it a lot or not, but I think last year I got people knocking on my door, and I kind of pretended I wasn't there because I really didn't have anything because I forgot it was Halloween. So it may be what happened also this year.
Fantastic.
No, we've never had any trick-or-treaters out here, but it's like a couple of kilometers for the kids to walk to our house, so through the scary forest. So yeah. But who knows? We might get some.
I also can't remember when I was living in Hamburg. I can't remember having anyone ringing the bell or something, and I also can't remember having sweets at home for that. But right now I'm living in a village with lots of kids, and so yeah, I don't know. It just became normal when we got kids. I think before we didn't. No, we didn't care enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love dressing up and watching horror movies. That's just.
See,
Yeah,
the thing is that I don't do horror, so
What?
no, I can't. I'm kind of a
I'm a
weirdo
pussy.
like that. I mean,
I tried and I enjoyed it for a time, but it's like
I
can't anymore.
can't. It's just not my vibe. Nope.
When I was 10 or 12, when all my friends started to watch horror movies, I was always terrified of them. Then one day I went to one of my mates after school, and we watched Gremlins, and I thought, well, Gremlins are monsters, so it's practically a horror movie. So you're unafraid of Gremlins, so you're unafraid of horror movies, and I started watching the nastiest shit. Like,
You aren't afraid of the Gremlins? It's like it scared me like so much. Like they are the worst.
after that, I watched Birds Have Eyes, Suburbia, Profondo Rosso, all the Deodato stuff, and Fulci, and all those old horror masters, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Hair is itching like
Ah,
crazy.
Awesome.
I can't do body horror. I can't do mental horror. Like people becoming crazy and then turning really bad. I can't. People like, yeah, no, I'm just, I can't. I just can't with any horror movie.
Sometimes when I
It's
watch Game of
fine.
Thrones, someone, no, not someone, my husband sat next to me and I was like, okay, someone is getting tortured again. I'm just going to do this and try not to listen to any sounds and just tell me when it's over. Like, no, wait.
I don't know if you watched that, like if you finished Rings of Power, the second season, but like there's an episode where a character cut one of his thumb, and I couldn't
nice.
watch. I can't. I know it wasn't shown, and I'm just, no, I can't. Just the idea that is doing that. Just no, I can't.
Like Uno.
I looked
like,
at my phone for a few minutes to forget about the TV show while this was doing.
Yeah, but you imagine you remember, of course, the scene where, spoiler alarm, second season, Uno.
I haven't seen it all.
What?
I haven't seen it all.
Oh, no, I'm
You
talking
can't-
about
you fucking-
No, Wheel of Time.
Oh, Wheels of Time.
Wheel of
Okay,
Time
sorry. I
season
thought we were talking about
What?
Powers.
It's like, you've seen this.
Oh,
No.
oh,
Wheel of Time related. I'm like,
Oh,
what
yeah,
the hell? You haven't
with
watched
Uno.
it.
Yeah, I can't see it happen. I am fine knowing it happens very far away. I just can't see.
I
I'm
remember
weird
one day-
because I love horror movies and all of that, and I can watch really gory horror movies. I can't watch like war movies or like when
Oh, no.
it's
No.
set in like when it's realistic and like, yeah, this is like sort of what happened, or like realistic drama or war movies or things like that. Then I just like, no, I'm not watching this. Like Evil Dead horror, just body parts flying everywhere. Totally fine. Something weird happens there.
Maybe it's too close to reality. Like the other thing is like abstract, so it's not real. So you can take it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I love your makeup, by the way.
Yeah, it's really spooky.
Gorgeous. Yeah, it's so cool. Yeah. Oh yeah,
okay,
yeah,
so
yeah. Covering my eyes. I covered my eyes too. Definitely.
oh yeah, no. But that feels personal.
Yeah.
Any other character, but then again, I have a thing for eyes, so I might not have. I never watch any scene with eyes.
Okay.
No matter what, if it's like a horror movie or war or as soon as something happens, like here, no.
But
I'm
it's also like, I don't know, so like sawing, yeah, like this, a leg or anything, like also when they are hurt and they, have to take it off. I'm like, stop showing it like really close. I know it happens. That's enough for me, but please don't show the flesh and everything. Yeah, that's like, okay, thank you. No, I won't ever be a doctor like in the operation room. Never, ever.
Oh, I wanted to be a vet when I was a kid, and then I went to my dad's like surgery, and I almost passed out while he was like operating on a dog. So I said, "Oh no, maybe I don't want to be that."
Yep.
So yeah, I can't with blood. I can't with anything. Anyway, should we move on to?
Yes.
I'm like suffering in here.
Like I started to say before, we are doing a bit of a Halloween special, so we're gonna jump into some Wheel of Time ghost stories and stuff in a bit. But first, we need to, get some eye bleach, some eye candy, and just go through what's happened like in the last week in the Wheel of Time universe and like Twitter, Instagram, stuff like that. So I think I need to share my screen. I haven't prepared this. Very, very good of me. Let's see. So What Series came out with some news about new cast member, Anne Ogbomo. I'm probably butchering that name. Been cast in season 3. And she's been in, let's see, Justice League, Wonder Woman, Sandman, Krypton.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Nice.
So they don't know exactly who she is playing. She's pretty tall, I think, 5'10". Can't translate it to centimeters.
Yeah,
but
it's pretty tall, I think.
It's pretty tall. Filming in South Africa. So scenes with the Aiel, Age of Legends, scenes in Tanshiko. Maybe a Maiden of the Spear or some Aes Sedai. So yeah, fun getting some news. Oh, Light Blinded Fool is guessing Sulin. Got some more sea folk.
They will maybe they will meet Elaine or Nynaeve in Tanshiko, like sea folk. Could be. Oh,
I was thinking, how about Ilyanin?
Yeah, I was thinking about her too. That could be a really good cast for Egenin.
That's interesting.
And
let's see, what else do we have? We had this Waygate has been spotted on Google Maps. Says it's near the 2 rivers somewhere. So You're thinking here's where the Trollocs will come pouring out.
Yeah.
Maybe Perrin and the group
Possibly.
arriving.
Possibly.
I'm so curious where they found that image.
Yeah.
But-
I mean, I'm assuming it's close to the River Set.
Yeah.
Maybe. Because you can see the set on Google Maps. So maybe, I mean, looking around the area, or it's a completely different site, but I'm just assuming it's somewhere close.
I just don't know how often satellite images are being updated for like Google Maps and this kind of thing. So yeah, I just find that funny that they found a Waygate.
Like, it's not the clearest. Someone's been just what series? You're amazing.
Yeah, this is what the fandom will do when the series don't feed them with no promotion. That was like, sounds about right.
And we also had an update from our lovely Danish person, Alexander Willem. Small things were important. Seconds were small things, and if you heaped enough of those on top of one another, they became a man's life. So, what are we thinking about the background here? What's Tom up to?
That's a season 1 thing, right?
Right. Good, right. That's a scene with the Aiel in the cage.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure it is.
Because it wouldn't post any season 3 picture anyway, so it must be season 1 back. Like
that sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
And I think the surroundings and the, if you want to call it the gallows, fits.
The quote is interesting, Sue, because if I remember well, that's not a quote from the first few books. That's a late quote for another character. So I don't know whether he's reading the books or not, but I find it interesting.
Yeah, I was trying to remember when you get that quote. I was like, is that a Tom quote? I'm guessing it is.
I thought it was an Androl one.
That's what I read.
So at least that's what I saw somewhere. But I haven't checked myself, so I can't say.
Well, that's interesting then. Well, we already knew that Tom was going to be back, but it's nice to get.
Nice to see. It's nice random to see anything about the Wheel of Time. So.
Yeah. And then we have stunt team.
That looked like Roger. Roger, what are you doing there?
I swear, when I saw that picture, at first I was like, "Wait, did he met Malia?"
I would have told you immediately. Believe me that.
Yeah.
There's no way I can keep a secret like that to myself. No way.
Because there is a strong resemblance, right? It's not just me.
It's the top picture. That was like, what? Like the way he holds himself.
So the stunt team were awarded for best vehicle stunt with for the movie Extraction 2, and Magdalena was nominated for 2 categories for best female stunt performer and hardest hit. I don't think she won those, but she was nominated. So
yeah, I think if she had won, she would have been. Written that she had won, and not.
Yeah, but that's really cool, anyways, and hope she's healing well after her motorcycle crash. Here is our dear Lutheran promoting new Gladiator. And also he's at Comic-Con Stockholm this Saturday. And I'm can only go on Sunday, so I'm gonna miss him.
No.
And
That's sad.
I'm really, really upset about that. he hasn't been like announced like big like, oh, here's one of the big stars that you can meet at Comic-Con. So I just randomly noticed it on the schedule, like a half an hour session with Alexander Karim, like on the Saturday. It's like, no, I gotta do a an event with work, so I can't go on Saturday.
Rip.
So I'm super bummed out for that, but I hope someone is there and asks some nice Wheel of Time questions. Right, and what else do we have? Oh, we have
Who's the director?
Mumbai Film Festival starring, and The Fable starring Priyanka.
Priyanka.
Ah,
Yeah,
nice.
so yeah, new movie with her is out.
I think it was last Sunday, or a week ago.
Oh, it says yes, a week ago. Well, we haven't talked about shit for 2 weeks, so
Yeah.
some of it might be slightly old news, but I have not seen it. And what else? It's like Joshua is apparently in Japan doing stuff. Let's see if I can see.
Taking his picture,
Yeah,
being in a
doing
suit in Japan.
doing artsy stuff in Japan.
That looks creepy.
Yeah,
He's getting around.
yes.
That's his Halloween costume.
And some koi fish. Yep. And I think then we just have some like snack pictures.
Eye candy.
Mm-hmm. And
More eye
apparently Taylor is going to go as his shirt for Halloween. So he's making good progress on that.
There's too much muscle. There's a
Yeah, I
limit.
know.
There's the right amount of muscle.
I'm glad you said it first. I'm like,
become
I
a-
will not say anything negative.
I'm sorry, it's too much.
Oh, hi, Androl.
Hi, Androl.
Hello.
Right. And
Oh, yeah.
Maddie as a cloud.
Yeah.
It's an interesting dress, but she looks gorgeous.
Hmm.
Then again, I think she could wear like garbage and still look gorgeous. So
She has
Fair.
legs that are like so long.
and some Priyanka, of course.
More
love
eye
her.
candy.
Yes, she is so beautiful.
Hmm.
This cast is way too hot.
Yes, give me some water.
And yeah,
Yeah, she's like, okay.
More eye candy.
She looks like, I don't know, she's like the perfect. She looks perfect.
yeah.
I can't say anything else. It's like, oh,
You think we'll get IEL sweat tents?
oh, oh. Looking respectfully, hoping respectfully.
Anyways, here's some pumpkins. Juliet's chickens have been
I've been making
um,
pumpkin.
they have been making pumpkins.
Yeah.
Hen buoy and Perry hen. Well,
Wow. Good job.
when we get hens in the future, we will definitely have them make.
So odd.
And I think
I think that's it.
that's it. That was it for the news, or just social media. And all right, it's also almost the end of October, and people have been doing so many nice artwork and poems, and it's been a really great October, and we are preparing for next year already, talking about how we're going to organize everything, and maybe there will be some new platforms like Blue Sky, stuff like that, maybe Threads, where we share on more platforms, because Twitter is
Time.
yeah. So thanks to everyone who's been participating this month. I've been extremely bad at doing art stuff this year. I managed 3 prompts, I think, but people like Spuds have been posting things every day. Rob, Malkier Talks have been doing narrations, and it's been really fun, like watching all of you share your things, and so we're happy.
I really loved Bugs Panda picture. That was amazing.
I can see if I can. I think I got it here. I didn't prepare any October stuff to share, but I think the panda, the October panda.
Yeah.
Let's see. October. You can keep talking. Let's see. Here.
I've never done an October thing, but I wonder if my Flickr will match any of the remaining themes. Maybe I can post that.
What was the theme for that?
I think it was well, but Spuds wrote it like, well, question mark. Like, well, give us some news. Give us something. Give us updates.
That's cute.
I like the August. I think
Yeah.
The Kühne.
And the Krone, the Clown Panda, the Clock Breaking Panda.
There's so much going on in this picture. I love
it. The Writing Panda, because we didn't get a Super Bowl trailer.
That's the NFL thing. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, is that a Super Bowl reference or not?
Yeah. The best one.
Yeah, it was great. Okay. So we have entered the Flickerverse of terror, the studying of horror, and we thought we were gonna read you some stories, scare you.
That's so cool.
Opening the Book of Horrors.
A nice book.
I still have some edits to make, but it's getting there.
So good.
Just wanted to show it off.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
you
can do
should
it more
show it off.
Yes.
If it looks good, you might as well show it off.
Yeah.
More.
It's very Halloweeny.
Yes.
And I'm bringing it to Comic-Con on Sunday to get Neil Newbon is coming, voice actor for Astarion and Baldur's Gate 3, among other things. So like, done a lot of video games. So yeah, I'm getting him to sign that. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Should we do the Flickr intro,
So
or do we go directly to the?
sorry.
You know the Flickr music that usually you put before? No, I don't know. That's fine. The Flickr video that Aginor usually puts, but we don't have to put it if you don't want to. That's fine.
I wanted to make like a special like Halloween.
Oh yeah,
but I didn't have time to do that. But
that's fine.
You know
You
what?
just have to do a scary voice. Also.
Let's play it anyways.
It is believed there are worlds where a year is only a day here, and others where a day is a year here. There's supposed to be worlds where the very air would kill us at a breath, and worlds that barely have enough reality to hold together. And as we set out to explore these realities, remember one thing: be steadfast.
Be steadfast.
So, some of us, not me, have have apparently some tale, some horror story to talk about.
Who wants to start? Or I have cheated, so I have AI'd a couple of horror stories because I was too stressed out and too lazy to actually write something myself. So if you want, I could start off with an AI version of a Flickr in a Wheel of Time setting.
Maybe we could also talk about like which did you all start from a fresh tale, or did you took a tale and then transformed it?
Mine is a retelling of a chapter.
A retelling of a chapter? Nice.
Well, not the whole chapter, part of it.
What about you, Goatbrother or Celicia? I know Goatbrother had a pretty long story. No?
No, not that long. I initially I wanted to adapt one of the Brother Grimm's Trail because it's a German thing, German staple. So I wanted to do Red Riding Hood, and with Rand as Rand Riding Hood because he has red hair, and Nark has a wolf snout, so that's a big bad wolf. It's that obvious that Dana Lu and Sulin had the same idea, and I think we all took other rounds. By the way, feel better soon, Dana Lu. She wanted to be here, but is under the allergy.
Hopefully we can hear that story at another point.
Yeah. And so now I deliberately took kind of the premise of Alibaba and the 40 raiders, but without the 40 raiders.
Okay.
And I finished it a few minutes ago, so it's pretty crappy, but.
Hey, we're none of us are writer, as far as I know. I'm definitely not. So, yeah. Oh,
Interesting.
Mm.
And the version that of Little Red Riding Hood that I started writing was instead Little Red Shawl. So about Red Sister and a wolf brother.
okay.
With was supposed to be a twist at the end, so.
Okay.
Just
Who
one
wants to
thing in between.
Yeah.
If you hear my husband next to me talking, then tell me. I have to tell him to shut
So
up.
far it's good, but we'll let you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, we haven't heard anything yet, I think.
Yeah, he
I
just
haven't.
started.
Yeah.
He's playing PUBG right now, so probably.
All right. Should I start us off with one?
Sure. Go for it.
Show us what evil AI overload could do.
Mhm.
Well,
Let's see if I can read this. So this story is called The Shadow of the Golem.
Ooh.
Matt Cotton had seen his share of battles, but none prepared him for the creeping dread that wrapped around him as night fell in the deserted village of Berlan. He and Eludra had come here to test a new invention of hers, a type of firework that could serve as a distraction in a pinch. But the air was thick with something else, something alive and malevolent. As they set up their equipment in the abandoned square, Matt's instinct screamed at him to leave. Eludra, maybe we should head back. The place feels off. Nonsense, Matt. This is perfect. Just a few more adjustments and we can see if my invention works. Eludra's excitement was infectious, but Matt couldn't shake the sense of being watched. That's when he saw it. A shadow flickering at the edge of the square, twisting and shifting like smoke. Matt squinted into the darkness. It was too thin, too elongated to be human. The hairs on the back of his neck prickled. He knew what it was. The golem. Eludra, we have to go, now! He grabbed her arm, but she shrugged him off, engrossed in her work. Just a moment, Matt. I promise it will be worth it. Before Matt could argue, a chilling whisper slithered through the air, sending a wave of icy dread down his spine. The sound was like shattered glass, promising pain and despair. Eludra looked up, her eyes wide, the spark of excitement extinguished by fear. Did you hear that? The golem stepped into the dim light of the square, its form barely solid, a grotesque parody of humanity. Its eyes glinted with malice, and Matt could feel the hunger emanating from it. A desire not just for blood, but for terror. Eludra, run! Matt shouted, instincts kicking in as he reached for his dagger. But even as he brandished the weapon, he knew it was futile. The golem was impervious to most weapons, a creature born of darkness and despair. With a defiant cry, Eludra scrambled back, knocking over a stack of crates, her invention scattering across the cobblestones. Sparks flew as fireworks ignited prematurely, lighting up the square in a burst of color and chaos. The golem recoiled, momentarily blinded by the flash, and Matt seized the opportunity. This way, he urged, and they sprinted down a narrow alley, hearts pounding in tandem. They darted through the twisting streets, the sound of their footsteps echoing like thunder, but the golem was relentless. It pursued them with an unnatural speed, always just a heartbeat behind. They turned a corner, and Matt spotted an old tavern, its doors hanging ajar, a hint of sanctuary within. Inside, he urged, and they bolted through the entrance, slamming the door behind them. They leaned against it, panting, listening as the golem's presence circled outside like a wolf stalking prey. What do we do? Eludra's voice trembled, her hands shaking as he clutched her inventions. Matt's mind raced. We need to distract it. Can you create something loud? Anything that will draw it away from us? Eludra nodded, her determination returning. I can rig something, but it'll take a moment. Matt moved to the window, peering out into the darkness. The golem's form shimmered as it prowled, its hunger palpable. Time was running out. Just hurry, Matt shouted, adrenaline coursing through him as he grabbed a broken chair, ready to use it as a weapon if necessary. Eludra worked quickly, her hands deftly assembling parts. If I can create a big enough bang, it might be distracted long enough for us to escape. Just make it loud, Matt called back, keeping his eyes fixed on the door. Suddenly, a silence fell over the tavern. A heavy, suffocating quiet made Matt's heart race. The golem had stopped moving. It was listening. Aludra, now! Matt yelled, and she ignited the device. A brilliant flash erupted in the tavern, filling the room with blinding light and an ear-splitting boom. Matt winced as the sound reverberated off the walls, and for a moment he felt a thrill of hope. But as the smoke cleared, he realized the golem had not been fooled. It stood at the door, silhouetted in the faint light, unfazed and unyielding. Matt! Aludra cried, fear lacing her voice. It didn't work! Then we fight! Matt gritted his teeth, gripping the chair tightly. But the golem was no ordinary foe. It glided forward, its eyes locking onto Matt with an intensity that sent shivers down his spine. Matt lunged, swinging the chair with all his might. It passed right through the golem, as if it were smoke, and Matt stumbled, his heart sinking. Matt, behind you! Ludra shouted. The golem was no longer in front of him. Matt spun around, but it was too late. The creature's cold touch enveloped him, sending a wave of darkness seeping into his mind. It whispered of despair and oblivion, pulling him into a void. Just as Matt felt himself slipping away, he remembered his luck, the dice, the games. He had always had a way of turning misfortune into fortune. Summoning every ounce of will, he focused on that luck, and in a flash, a surge of energy rippled through him. With a defiant roar, Matt broke free of the golem's grip. The creature recoiled, momentarily disoriented. In that instant, Aludra hurled her remaining firework toward the golem, igniting it in a bright explosion that illuminated the tavern and the street beyond. The golem screeched, retreating into the shadows as the flames danced, casting eerie shadows that flickered across the walls. Matt, we need to go now, Aludra urged, and they dashed out of the tavern, the light still bright behind them, guiding their escape. As they ran, Matt felt a mix of relief and dread. The golem had retreated, but he knew it would not be gone for long. They had escaped, but the shadows lingered in his mind, a reminder of the dark control. Next time, Matt said breathlessly, let's pick a safer place for the fireworks. Aludra chuckled weakly, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her fear. Agreed. No more dark villagers. Together, they ventured into the night, the weight of the encounter heavy on their shoulders, but the light of their friendship flickering brightly against the encroaching darkness. The end.
Yay.
Wow.
It wasn't too bad. It was a bit.
No.
Oh,
It was, but that was amazing. Seriously. Now I'm even more afraid of AI.
Yeah, let's not praise AI too much, please.
Yeah.
No, it
Hail
was like,
Cyberdyne.
I feel personally that I would love some more Matt Aludra stories, but you know.
Yeah.
I wanted
But-
them to kiss.
Who didn't?
I mean,
Didn't they?
give the AI some more inspiration, and anything can happen. So, what do you think? Could this be a Flicker, a mirror world, where they just like, I don't know, go off and make
they
experiments.
They did spend time together at the time where the golem was chasing Matt. And Aludra was definitely experimenting with firework because that's how the dragon came up.
Yeah.
So why not? You could have another spooky story around that timeline.
And it's not that big of a tweak to the whole story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't die, so that's fine. It's just another encounter with the golem.
Let's make Eluda create a Gatling gun, and we don't have to worry about the lack of Shaunchen support. So
You can make bullets with like Elaine copies the fox head medallion and just like they make it into bullets instead.
Yeah.
Be like silver bullets, but for Golem. Hi, Penny. Welcome to the show.
You haven't missed the whole episode.
No, you haven't missed the whole show.
We're not finished.
We've only done one story so far, so we have a couple of more.
Talking about more, Dovi, do you want to go next?
Sure. I can go next. So mine is a retelling of a chapter. It is called A Chalice of Wine, a spooky flicker of a cup of wine, chapter 39 in the Shadow Rising. All right. When Elaine came on deck with her things neatly bundled, the setting sun was sinking lazily toward the horizon, like blood oozing out to cover the ocean. As she stretched, she heard her bones crackle as she shook off the suffocation of the dungeon-like confines of the ship. Elaine glided to Nynaeve's side near the gangplank, and as she waited impatiently for the crew to extend it, she noticed small marks, like scratches, at the end of the plank. She thought to herself, curious. Her mind drifted away, imagining why hands may have been clinging to the edge of the plank. And she jumped and let out a short, shrill scream as Kaween spoke behind her, to Dantora and the Aiel Jafar. Elaine hadn't even heard Nynaeve ask where they were bound next. She was almost as disturbed to see the woman and her windfinder fully clothed after so long at sea. The brocaded blouses seemed unnatural compared to how the women had been before, a garish costume hiding their natural beauty. Nynaeve shot her a piercing look. Doreen kissed her fingertips and pressed them to Elaine's lips. They were colder than Elaine had expected. The light willing, we shall meet again. The light willing, Elaine responded, returning the gesture. And then Elaine and Nynaeve were walking down the narrow plank toward the stone dock. Tom and Julin immediately bracketed them. Elaine was thankful. She was willing to wager that any of the slitty-eyed, hungry-faced dock workers would have slashed her throat in the hopes that a silk dress meant gold in her purse. Suddenly there was a roar from somewhere behind them. You! It do be you! A large bearded man was pushing his way roughly toward Nynaeve. Before Elaine had a chance to embrace the source, Nynaeve sputtered, Master Doman? And Elaine saw it too. He was dressed more finely, but it was a smuggler they had known in Tenchico. Oh wait, in Falm. So he Falm. Edit. Before Nynaeve could begin questioning him, Doman raised a hand in a warning gesture. This no be the place for a friendly reunion. We must go now if you want to keep your purses. And your heads. Doman said as he placed his large hand behind Nynaeve's elbow and began hustling them toward the city street. And that is when Elaine saw them. Dozens. No, hundreds of dirty, gaunt faces gazing at her, hungrily. Their eyes were sunken, distant, as if all humanity... Sorry, my cat. I gotta stop.
That was a loud protest from that cat.
And that's when Elaine saw them. Hundreds of dirty, gaunt faces gazing at her hungrily. Their eyes were sunken, distant, as if all humanity had drained out of them, and their only remaining thought was, must eat. Guards with swords and spears at the end of the dock were the only thing standing between them and these desperate, grasping hands. Sometimes eyes flickered toward the ships, but mainly they burned into the men holding them back. Need, those eyes said. Need, need, need. Elaine shivered and then jumped as Doman grabbed her elbow roughly to push her into a carriage. She was so horrified by the scene around her, she didn't even think to be indignant. Once they were all in the carriage, the smuggler began telling them of the goings-on in Tenchico. And even Tom listened attentively, stroking braid and mustaches. Julin stared angrily out the narrow slitted windows of the carriage. But Elaine could focus on none of it. Could they not hear it? The desperate hands grasping at the carriage, pounding, the nails scraping along the outside. It was almost more than she could bear. Luckily, they quickly arrived at the three-plum court, an inn where Doman apparently yielded some influence. As they walked through the door and Doman greeted the innkeeper, Nynaeve and Elaine both gasped quietly as they got a good look at her. A woman with brown eyes, a multitude of honey blonde braids, and a veil obscuring part of her face. But it was not Leandrin. Elaine cursed this local custom. These veils would make it much harder to spot any black sisters out and about in the city. Can I offer you supper in a private room? Rendra asked. No, we just ate before we left the ship, but thank you, Nynaeve responded, more sharply and quickly than was necessary. Elaine could see that she was just as ill being back on solid ground as she had been when she first boarded the ship. Elaine felt ill too, but not from the migration back to land. She couldn't get the visions, the sounds, the smells of those desperately hungry people out in the streets out of her mind. Where was their king? Why was he not taking care of them? Very well, Rendra said coolly, folding her arms under her plump bosom. She turned her gaze to Tom. I don't suppose I can convince you to spend the evening in my common room, Master Gleeman. That gaze had softened, and she smiled a bit coyly as she looked Tom over. Elaine cringed slightly, but followed Tom after he bowed deeply, telling her it would be his pleasure. As Tom made himself comfortable in the front of the room, Elaine found an empty table in the back and stared daggers at any man who moved as if to join her. It was Elaine's first time ever being alone in an inn's common room. Still, when Rendra stopped at her table to offer wine, Elaine said, "Only a small amount, please." Her stomach was still uneasy from the experiences near the docks, but she thought just a few sips of wine might settle it. Almost instantly, a handsome but plain-looking woman with dark hair, green eyes, and a dark veil brought her a tall gold cup, with just a couple mouthfuls of wine at the bottom. Elaine tasted the wine, looking out across the room. It was very good. It tasted expensive, with a particular flavor she couldn't quite place. It must have been Rendra's best vintage. And while she had been given a gold cup, the rest of the room drank from silver. Rendra must be able to tell that I'm high-born, or perhaps Tom told her, she thought to herself, reveling slightly in this subtle act of reverence. It was good to feel a bit like royalty again, after being crammed into a smaller room on the ship with Nynaeve for so many days. But then she remembered again those miserable wraiths out on the street, and all pleasure fled from her instantly. She took another drink from the cup and placed it to the side. She focused on Tom. He was telling a story of Mara and the three foolish kings. After a while, she reached for her cup and took another sip. Curious, it seemed slightly fuller than it had before. One of the serving boys must have poured her more. Tom pulled out his harp and started to sing songs. Only one boot, sip. The wind that shakes the willows, sip. The first rose of summer. And as Elaine took another sip, she noticed again that the cup was fuller than before. Had that been happening each time? Had the plain woman or that serving boy with the brown eyes continued to add wine each time she wasn't looking? Elaine searched the room for him in vain. She looked to Tom for some reassurance, then followed his smiling gaze to see Rendra looking back at him, a little too familiarly. Neither of them noticed her. With a sniff, Elaine lifted the cup to her mouth and almost sloshed wine on herself. It was almost full, but with all those hungry mouths out just outside the Three Plum Court's high courtyard walls, Elaine couldn't very well let it all go to waste. It wasn't her fault they kept pouring more wine when she hadn't asked for it, but just one more sip. For his final number, Tom began to recite a long stretch of the Great Hunt of the Horn. Elaine's head was feeling a little fuzzy, and she drifted in her mind. Had she heard Tom recite this before, but in high chant? Possible. And before she realized, she was reaching for the cup again. It was full to the brim. Why, she couldn't even think of lifting it without risking spilling it on her gown. Frustrated, she looked to Rendra and waved a hand delicately. She would have a discussion with this woman about her staff. Rendra turned her way, but her gaze passed over her without acknowledgement. How dare she? She hadn't been deferential when they had arrived, but she had been friendly and helpful at least. Elaine sulked a bit. Making a scene wouldn't do any good to help with their task, but she would have harsh words for the innkeeper later on. Suddenly, she saw the plain serving woman that had brought her wine standing in the shadows near Tom. Had she been poking around in his bags? Immediately, she tried to seize the source, but it was not there. Perhaps she had had one too many sips. She looked again to the woman and gave a start. It was not the same woman, or was it? That bloody veil made it hard to tell any of these people apart. At that moment, the serving boy with the brown eyes walked by. He didn't even glance at her. This was unacceptable. She moved to stand and confront him, but she slipped and sat back down hard. Had her hand slipped off the table? She tried to catch Tom's gaze, but he paid her no heed. He had packed the last of his things and was starting to leave, but the woman was there behind him again. Was she holding a knife? No. Elaine tried to call out and embrace Sidar, but seemed to fail at both. Her head was spinning now. She was beginning to panic a bit. It's okay, she thought. Tom is going to walk right by this table on his way to the stairs, and I can get his attention then. But as Tom strode toward the back of the room, pausing to glance back at Rendra one last time, he did not so much as acknowledge Elaine. Tom! Tom! She called to him, finally managing to climb to her feet and take a few steps toward him. And as he passed right by her, she reached for his arm and grasped only air. Had his arm passed right through her hand? As she watched him walk up the stairs in disbelief, she was startled to hear quiet laughter behind her. She turned to see the plain woman lifting the gold cup of wine. Elaine again had trouble placing her features behind that dark veil. The woman raised the glass as if to take a drink, but held it before her face, obscuring her mouth and looking over the room. Excuse me, that's my... Elaine began, indignant. But before she could finish, the woman spoke in a quiet voice, soft enough that only Elaine could hear her over the bustle of the patrons tossing coin to the inn staff and shambling toward the door. Did you really think that 2 girls, a thief catcher and a gleeman, were enough to take down 11 Black Sisters? Elaine's jaw dropped open. So she was one of the Black Aja, but which one? She matched none of the descriptions they had. At that moment, Rendra walked past the table. Elaine lunged for her, shrieking her name, and found herself on her knees, watching Rendra's back as she walked away without seeming to notice Elaine at all. Balling her fist at her side, Elaine again tried to touch Saidar, but was unable to feel it at all. She wanted to scream and cry. What was happening? But she calmed herself. Whether or not she could channel, she was a daughter heir, and she would face this with dignity. She climbed to her feet and faced the woman. She can't hear you. No one here can, she told Elaine mockingly and took a sip of wine. For a moment, her face seemed to shimmer. You will not get away with this. Nynaeve and I are here on orders from Swan Sanche, and we will bring you back, you and your Black Sisters, to justice. The woman glanced at her, chuckling softly, and took another long drink from the glass. Swan Sanche, girl, you do realize that I serve Shamael himself. You think that your precious Amerlin holds a candle to one of the chosen? As she spoke, her voice vibrated. Was it changing, becoming higher? What have you done to me? It's clear you have dosed me with fork root at least, Elaine asked, finally admitting to herself that something was terribly wrong. Done to you? The woman asked in a seemingly different voice. She turned in Elaine's direction, not looking directly at her, but turning enough that Elaine could see that her hair looked lighter in this corner, and her eyes, they were bluish, not brown. I've done nothing to you, and I assure you there is no fork root in this wine. And to prove her point, a small weave of air snuffed out all the candles on the nearby tables in an instant, a small weave that Elaine could not touch. The cup, Elaine stammered, remembering how it had seemingly grown fuller as she drunk from it. It is an Angreal, some object of the power at least. We don't understand it completely, but we found it in the storeroom before we left the tower. We are still testing it out, and it's certainly having some interesting results. The voice, it was starting to sound so much like her mother's. No, not her mother's, her own. The woman tipped back the cup and drank the last of the contents. Her hair and face again shimmered, as if she stood behind a great blaze of fire. And Elaine could see that her hair didn't just look lighter, it was lighter, as blonde as her own when it had been dark brown. She looked around the common room to see if there was anyone who could help, but all she could see were drunken men being hauled toward the door and in-staff wiping down tables. No one was paying attention to a quiet woman politely finishing her wine in the back of the room. Angrily, Elaine moved to confront the woman face to face. How dare you use me as an experiment? Everyone who has trained in the tower knows how dangerous. But as she looked into the face opposite hers, the words died on her lips. The woman reached up to pull off the dark veil. It was like looking in the mirror. The woman had her eyes, her hair, her lips, her voice. Quite remarkable, isn't it? She asked, tucking the golden cup into a satchel at her hip. Elaine noticed that she wore a gown not so different from her own. Her mouth was dry and she could speak no words. No, if you excuse me, the woman with Elaine's face said, I have 3 more of you I need to deal with, but maybe not before I have a little fun with them. She smirked and tossed a coin on the table, turning toward the stairs. Elaine followed her up the steep steps, racking her brain for something to do. Soon they were before Tom's door, and the imposter Elaine was knocking, pulling a small flask from her satchel. When he opened the door, Elaine's voice said, Renra asked me to give this to you as a special thanks for your performance this evening. It's her best brandy. Well then, I'm not going to say no to that, Tom said cheerily, taking the flask and walking to a side table where a plain cup sat. As he stood with his back to them, pouring the brandy, Elaine could see the imposter channeling, sending weaves of spirit, water, and air into Tom's body, though he himself did not seem to notice. A healing? What was happening? Who are you? Elaine demanded. Why, I am Elaine Jacan, daughter of Andor, the woman told her in a mocking imitation of her own haughty affectation. But at that moment, her disguise flickered slightly. She was a woman with eyes as dark as coal. She was a man with fire-red curls. She was a woman with a stern face, dark hair, and eyes. A familiar face. Chesmal Feckin Emery. But then she was Elaine again, and she was walking through the door, telling Tom how much she enjoyed his great hunt of the horn, and Tom was closing the door behind her with a look on his face she had never seen before. A look a man his age should not be giving a woman's Elaine's age. What had Chesmal done to him? But the door now stood between them, and Elaine did not want to find out if she could pass through it the way her hands had passed through the table and the people. On the other side, she could hear Chesmal giggling and saying in a low, husky voice, Like that. I used to tug it just like that. Elaine began to scream.
Whoa! It's a turn!
No zombies, sorry, Panaloo. The zombies are a misdirect.
Yeah. At first, it took some time to get into the horror of it all.
Mm-hmm.
That was good.
Thank you.
That was a nice twist to that chapter. Oh, that would have been horrible.
That was great.
Yeah, I was
Horrible.
also waiting for the zombie attack, like the people on the dock. Yeah, like
This is
lifeless
Thomas. I
eyes.
haven't met him yet. He's my little angel.
I haven't met him yet. I'm a little intimidated by your stories.
No, don't be.
To be
Well,
honest.
fun.
Really short, like really short in comparison.
That's good.
Mine
Two.
as well. Mine as well.
Okay, who wants
I
to go
only got
next
2
then?
pages.
Yeah, me too. Like 1.5. I'm shorter.
I have one of 3 pages and one on 2 pages.
Yeah, but you have it on screen. I have it handwritten, so it's way
Ooh,
way bigger.
Mm. But that's more impressive.
Yes.
You've
Vintage.
done it yourself.
Yeah. Can I go next?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
yeah, please.
Because yeah, I was talking to Roger, and he said, yeah, he gave me the idea for also a Brothers Grimm
Yeah.
Märchen story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there are some Germans, so it's Der Wolf und die 7 Geißlein, The Wolf and the 7 Goatbrothers. Just kidding.
Oh,
Goats.
yeah.
I changed it, of course, so it's Wheel of Time related, and I also took part of a chapter, like one of the first. Yeah, pretty much. I don't remember the name, but it's now called Padan Fane and the Emmonsfield 5.
Ooh.
I tried with my accessories here a little bit to spice it up. Yes. So, like every year, Padan Fane visited the 2 rivers, but this year was different. His senses were sharpened by the Dark One, and he could feel his prey was near. When he arrived in Emmonsfield, he felt the ones he sought before he saw them. But he didn't want to take them to the Dark One. Oh no. He had his own plans. When the villagers went to sleep, he devoured Matt, Nynaeve, Egwene, and Perrin. Hey, don't laugh. When the villagers, sorry, that was next sentence. Rand, he couldn't find, but it would have to suffice for now. His belly was close to bursting anyhow. He fell asleep under the big tree. When Rand came to town, oh sorry, my mouse. I should have just read it. Just wait a second.
You're good.
I'm just gonna read it. When Rand he couldn't find. When Rand came to town with his father, Tam, Ewan Fingar came running. Padan Fane, he ate your friends. You have to help them. And Rand saw the peddler, deeply asleep, with a huge belly. Tam gave Rand his old sword. Here, son, go save your friends. Rand took the sword awkwardly and slit open Fane's belly carefully. His friends spilled out next to his intestines. Rand filled the belly with stones, stitched the skin, and threw Fane into the wine spring and left him to die. There are no beginnings or endings to the Wheel of Time, but it was an ending.
Oh.
Rip.
I recognize that story. I think I read it. Yeah, I think I read it
Yes?
as a kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
I had to
some
read it up
other
again
version
because
of it.
yeah, I remember it, but I didn't know it was way longer than mine, my version. But yeah, with the mother goat, and the little one hiding and telling her.
Yeah. That was very good.
German children's stories never fail to traumatize your kids.
Oh, I will never read them to my kids. I promise. They are insane.
I know when I was a kid, we went to some. I think it was a theme park somewhere in Denmark, and they had that like with the big puppets. So they had the goats with like the big like shearing scissors or something, and like the wolf sleeping. So they had like built that entire scene. It was really scary. I think I was like 6 years old or something. I was like, this is a bit creepy.
Yeah. We like to do that.
I was like, wait, he's sleeping, and you just cut open his belly, and he doesn't notice. Like,
is that a version of the Red Riding Hood?
Yeah. There's a version like that. It's kind of a mix between the Three Little Pig one and Red Riding Hood. Like it's kind of a mix between the two in the sense that there's indeed the wolf getting stoned in his belly in Red Riding Hood, and the wolf hitting the pigs in.
Yeah, it's also the pretend like he. I didn't know, but it sounded similar because the wolf in this story also pretends to be the mother coming back, and they don't believe him. But then he tries to trick them with painting the paw with flour, I think, and so on. So they believe him. Yeah, it's white, so it's my mom, and so it's the same with like Riding Hood.
Yeah, that's Brother Grimm were pretty lazy at times with the tropes. Yeah.
Yeah. Different types of children's stories.
Dovie, I wanted to say one thing to your story. What was very creepy to me was the sense of Elaine disappearing, like being a ghost, pretty much. Like she couldn't touch anyone, and wasn't. So no one heard her, and it was like, just imagine yourself being like that. You can't do anything against it. You're so helpless. That was the scariest part of it all. Like, wow.
Yeah, I know. I had the idea like almost immediately when we started talking about this. I was like, what if as she was drinking out of the wine, like her essence is being sucked into the wine, and like she wasn't drinking out of the cup, like she was going into the cup.
Wow.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's a horrible thought.
Yes.
And Dovie, I know you need to pop out soon, so just stay for as long as you want. But
Camille needs to drop out, not me.
No, it's me that need to drop out. So I leave you to that. Yeah, I mean, unless we have like a few, unless the Goatbrother, like his story is only for a few minutes, and I may at least hear a story from everyone. But yeah, I leave right after that. If that's okay.
Okay, let's.
I need maybe 5 minutes or so.
Sure, go for it then.
Okay. After Trollaccords attacked Benethrin and killed its king, what made the queen draw so unbelievable amounts of the one power that she burned herself out and sent a firestorm throughout the land, the city of Androl, that promised aid to them and never came to their rescue, grew more and more paranoid and shut itself off from the rest of the world. It was afraid of the growing shadows in the world and to lose its wealth. The fear and paranoia grew more and more in their hearts and souls. They eventually tore themselves apart from within and became what they tried to protect themselves from. The news of what happened there spread across the world, told by peddlers and gleemen. 300 years later, maybe a few more or less, 12-year-old Colwyn lived in the streets of Bram. He never knew his father, and his mother died 2 winters ago. Surviving was a battle every day in these streets. One day, He heard young nosy nobles talking about the fall of Eridol while nodding knowing nods. Colwyn thought to himself, if no one ever entered the city again, then there must be a treasure in there. He would never to be hungry again. He even could buy a house when he came of age. He will be a hero and admired. No one will ever kick him in the side while he tried to sleep in the cold, rainy streets. He would never be afraid again. After 2 days, he began his journey. He only knew he had to travel west. He walked for months and picked berries and fruits, sometimes stole from fields. On rare lucky days, good people let him sleep in their barn and fed him. Just shy before he believed he would never find the city, no one wanted to tell him the way. He saw the wall towering so high that it seemed to scratch the clouds on this rainy, cold day. Everybody told him not to go there, that it was an evil place. That was ridiculous. They all died hundreds of years ago. He slept more than once in a cemetery. The dead can't hurt you. How can these adults be so silly? He walked around the huge wall, looking for a crack to slip through or vines to climb it. He would never be able to climb it otherwise. How should he get himself in and his treasure out? He didn't know. But this wasn't inside the city Colwyn problem. On the east side of the wall, he found an iron crate. He spent days carving it out with a small knife. As he entered the city, it was as if all sounds were shut out. The buildings were tall and beautiful, yet they gave him an eerie feeling, sending ice-cold shivers down his bones. He sneaked through the streets and searched the houses, nearly fell through a rotten wooden floor once or twice. He came across some big open spaces filled with dirt. They must have been parks, but there was no life in this city. While wandering through the streets, he got the feeling of being followed, this twitching feeling in his neck, as if a ghostly hand touched him. Were there steps following him? Was that a scream? No, it can't. It can't be. No one was here except him. His nights were filled with nightmares of people turning on each other and killing themselves. On the fourth morning, he saw a shimmer of light around the corner of the street. He was drawn to it like a moth to the light. He couldn't get closer to it. It was like someone was carrying a torch away from him. When he turned around the corner, he saw the light vanishing through the entrance of a large hall. He couldn't see anyone carrying the light, though. It was always just out of direct sight. He followed it down, deeper and deeper into the building. Then suddenly there the treasure was. Colwyn was stunned. He had almost given up hope. He screamed of joy and relief. He danced. He laughed like a madman. His laughter echoed back from the walls. But was it his laughter? It felt like coming from something evil, a feeling he couldn't put a finger on. He grabbed the small chest, filled it with gold, and dragged it out of the building, through the streets towards the small tunnel through which he entered the city. After getting out of the city, he hid it under some bushes and thought, I can get some more. He returned 3 times. His shoulders shrugged more. Each turn, he felt being followed more and more. Were there eyes up in the dark window holes? And then he heard a maniacal laughter. A man blocked the street in front of him, dark eyes and a pale face. Where are you taking my belongings, little boy? I thought nobody was living here. There's so much down there, Colwyn said. The man jumped towards him, screaming. Colwyn managed to get his knife out, stab him in the chest. The man screamed and laughed, and then the mist appeared, oozing from the windows towards Colwyn, as if it had a mind of its own. Colwyn went for the tunnel and crawled through it. The man's evil, maniacal laughter followed him. Colwyn threw himself through the hole on the other side of the wall, laying on his back. he saw the shimmering mist retracting itself from the edge of the tunnel. 2 feet appeared right and left from his head, and the face of a dirty man smiling down on him. "So you are the squirrel stacking up all this treasure for us?" The last thing Colwyn saw was a long, shardy, rusted blade stabbing his chest and the bandits turning on each other. No one will ever spend a coin of this treasure, Colwyn thought, as the world went dark for him. Peace at last, he thought.
Aww. Poor little guy.
Great story.
Nice.
Horrible.
Now we're all depressed. Yay!
Yay. Bad.
Maybe we learned something. That was amazing.
Don't leave your drinks unattended. Don't take drinks from strangers.
No.
Don't sleep.
Don't go wandering into spooky, dark, abandoned areas, or that's seemingly abandoned. So, you pop out whenever you.
Yeah, I'm gonna pop out, but please continue. Go ahead. Enjoy the stories, and I'll see you. I don't know when. Bye.
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 Yeah, that was great, Roger. Thank you for
Thank you.
that. So how are y'all feeling? Like I have 2 more stories, or I can do 1 more story, or we can just round it off. How are you feeling?
Did Dana and Lou ever put anything together?
Sorry?
Did Dana and Lou actually do something?
I think she did. But where?
Yeah, so how are you feeling?
I wouldn't mind if we do another one and then slowly round it off, because there is someone that needs to go to bed soon
Yeah.
because of work.
Okay, so you get to pick then. Do you want a White Cloak Trolloc story, or do you want an Uno story?
Uno, obviously.
No, obviously.
Okay. We'll save the Trolloc cook pots for another time then. Okay. And this is shorter, so. So the story is called The Lost Eye. The moon hung high over Faldara, casting a silvery glow that illuminated the cobblestone streets. Uno Nemesta sat at a local inn, a mug of ale in hand, regaling a small crowd with tales of his adventures. He was known for his courage, his sharp tongue, and his uncanny ability to survive encounters with the shadow. But there was one story he seldom told, one that lingered like a dark cloud over his heart. A tale of foolish youth and ambition. It was a night much like this, years ago, when he found himself journeying through the fog-laden woods of Shinar. He had been tracking a group of Trollocs that had terrorized nearby villages. His path was shrouded in mist, the air thick with an unsettling silence that seemed to press against him. As he ventured deeper into the forest, he sensed that he was not alone. Whispers floated through the trees, voices soft and beckoning. Curiosity piqued, Uno followed the sound, unaware that he was stepping into a trap. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, until they enveloped him like a shroud. Suddenly, he found himself in a clearing, ancient stones rising around him, their surfaces etched with symbols long forgotten. There stood a figure draped in shadows, its face obscured by a hood. The air crackled with energy as the figure raised a not quite human hand, halting Uno. "You seek power, Uno Nemesta," it rasped, the voice echoing with a chilling resonance. "But power comes with a price. Who the flaming fuck are you? Uno demanded, instinctively reaching for his sword. The figure chuckled, the sound sending shivers down his spine. I am a keeper of secrets, a warden of lost souls. You have wandered into my domain, and now you must choose. The whispers grew louder, swirling around him like a storm. Uno felt a pull deep within him, a desire for strength to protect his friends and vanquish the shadow. What must I bloody do? He asked, his voice steady despite the dread clawing at his heart. To gain what you seek, you must give up something precious, the figure replied. Your left eye, in exchange for clarity of vision and the power to see beyond the veil. The bargain felt heavy in the air, the weight of the choice pressing down on him. He hesitated, but the thought of losing his fellow Shinarans to the darkness spurred him on. I bloody accept, he said, steeling himself. As soon as the words left his lips, pain exploded in his head. The figure raised its hand, and the blinding light enveloped Uno, searing through him. He staggered back, clutching his face, feeling the warmth of blood trickling down his cheek. When the light faded, he stumbled to the ground, grasping for breath. The figure was gone, leaving only the eerie silence of the forest. Uno touched his face, his heart racing, and found a space where his left eye had been, a hollow socket where warmth had once thrived. In that moment, despair flooded over him, mingling with the power coursing through his veins. Uno returned to Faldara, his heart heavy and his vision skewed. The power he had gained came with a price far greater than he had anticipated. He could see things, shadows moving just beyond the edge of light, glimpses of the future and the past. But the world was forever altered. He had lost a part of himself, and with it, a piece of his humanity. In the following days, he hunted the Trollocs with a vengeance, his newfound sight guiding him to victories he had never dreamed of. But every kill came with a reminder of what he had sacrificed. The whispers of the forest haunted him, echoes of the choice he had made. Each night, he relived the moment he had given up his eye, a ghost that lingered in the corners of his mind.
And you with hating everything with face.
It's okay to read it. I just can't watch it. Or I mean, as long as it's not too much gory details, I can read it.
Nice.
I thought that was like a pretty nice story, actually.
How much did you tweak?
Not much, actually. Just like I added some curses and like Faldara instead of some other like random Wheel of Time place or So not that much.
That's terrifying, actually.
Yeah. And I just like with the prompt was like write a horror story or a ghost story about how Uno Nomesta lost his left eye. It's like so it's a bit freaky.
Nalu, great one.
Yeah. That's a good one.
But I figured that would actually make a great horror story. And also, I mean, there's no canon to exactly how he lost his eye. So
It's true.
In one flicker, he might have sacrificed his eye for knowledge or power or, done an Odin Matt thing.
Seen it, been there.
Yeah. This has been really fun.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to the next setting of horror.
Yeah, my go-to comment when how did Uno lose his eye? It was like sneaking up on Trollocs. A Trolloc was like clipping its toenails, and it just like flew off and Shot him in the eye.
God.
Ah!
Yeah, it's quite our Nick Fury mystery. Until in the MCU, everyone was wondering what made Fury lose his eye, and then it was a sketch from Goose. That was quite a funny reveal.
Yeah.
It was great.
And that wayward toenail clipping is because I almost blinded myself like that once. It got stuck in my eye. And I was like, it took like 1.5 days before I could get that toenail clipping out.
No wonder you're terrified of eyes.
That's obviously how it happened.
Eyeball PTSD.
That is
Sounds painful.
even in kind of way more funnier than me nearly poking my eye out with a twig while working in the garden.
That was horrible as well. Aggie once got what do you call? I don't know the English word. The little on the pines, the little like the green like nails.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Not needles.
Pine needles?
Pine needle.
Yeah.
Yeah. He once got a pine needle stuck in his eye, and he was like, "Help me get it out." I was like,
Oh God!
"No."
Like, and then you do it, and you get the whole eyeball. Like, oh, sorry, darling.
Oh God!
He was like, "Please help me," and I was like,
No.
Throw up. Yeah.
Oh man.
He was fine in the end, but it was horrible.
Oh man.
I'm submitting a Flickr right now. I had a Flickr idea when I was writing, and I'm sending it now. It's completely
Give me
unrelated.
more flickers. Give us all the flickers.
Yeah. And we have already spun for next week. So next week we will be talking about what if Nynaeve chose the red Aja. That could also be a horror story.
Yeah. After 2 Mets back to back, 2 Nynaeves back to back.
Yeah. With some horror.
I see a trend.
But we have gotten some more flickers, so I am updating the Flickr wheel, so we will have some more fun stuff. But if you want to add flickers, just message us on any platform where you find us, or jump into our Discord, and there's a link there to what do you call it?
Google form.
Yeah, a Google form where you can add as many flickers as you want, and we will happily add them to our Flickr wheel. Any final thoughts, things we want to share before we start rounding this wonderful little what do you want to call it, Roger? Our steading of horror instead of Treehouse of Horror. Yeah. from The Simpsons. Yeah. I loved watching all the Treehouse of Horror Simpsons episodes.
Honestly, they're the best.
Yeah.
They're always the best.
So next year we'll definitely name it Steading of Horror.
That's a good name.
It's a good one.
Happy Flickr. Again, happy Flickerween. Flickr Eve.
Oh, Flickr Eve.
Hello, Flickr Hallow Eve, something.
Oh, Flickr Eve.
No. Thank you all for indulging us, and big thank you to our guests for sharing your lovely stories and just being here and being amazing Flickernauts.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always fun.
Pleasure as always.
It's been so much fun. So yeah, have a happy Halloween. Stay safe in the Flickerverse, and we'll see you next week, hopefully.
Bye all.